honorable judges, fellow board members, and special guests. Depression. Now, I know for a fact that all, or at least most of you, know what it is I'm talking about, and I can almost guarantee it has touched 50% or more of the families here today in some way, shape, or form. Depression. It's such a big word, don't you think? Depression is feelings. That may have been what you were told your entire life, but do you really know? Today I will present to you the following things. What depression is, why depression is, and how it can be helped. First off is the what of the situation. According to the Oxford Dictionary of Modern English, depression is feelings of unadorned despondency and dejection. In simpler terms, it's a loss of hope by a lack of courage and leads to being ruthlessly downhearted. So now that you know the definition of the keyword under discussion, can you see how some people might mistake this abysmal illness for simple melancholy? That is correct. Depression is a sickness, an unwell of the mind. In reference to healthguide.org, depression doesn't only have severe psychological symptoms, it also has physical symptoms, which include feelings of helplessness and hopelessness, a loss of interest in daily activities, appetite or weight changes, sleep changes, anger or irritability, loss of energy, self-loathing, reckless behavior, concentration issues, and unexplained aches and pains. Here you can see that 4 out of 10 commonly known symptoms of depression are physical, while 5 are psychological. One of them is a mashup between the two and is in a category of its very own. Based upon this, I believe it would be very fair to say that depression doesn't only tear away at your mind, but also at your body. Depression is feelings, yes, that is in part true, but depression is painful. It is a burden. It is ominous, present, persistent, and powerful, and if you do not stop it, it has the strength to rule over someone for the rest of their life. Now, please don't be too concerned about having depression based on the list I described. It is very normal to show that throughout your life, like if you have experienced death or loss of a loved one, for example. Only be concerned if you or someone you know has shown 5 or more of these symptoms for 2 full weeks or more. You know, the victim of depression I had interviewed told me that being depressed was like living in a black hole. It was bleak, seemingly endless and hopeless, and no matter how badly you may have wanted to get out, it keeps on sucking you straight back in. Because of the empty blackness that is depression, people might resort to killing themselves in order to escape it, and as much as I know we all hate to admit it, suicide is real. It is vital to know the warning signs of suicide so as a loved one, we can do everything in our power to stop it from happening before it gets to that stage. According to healthguide.org, the most common warning signs of suicide are talking about killing or harming oneself, conveying strong feelings of futility or being trapped, an unusual obsession with death or dying, acting recklessly or as if they have a death wish, calling or visiting people to say goodbye, getting affairs in order, saying things like I'm done or I want out, and a sudden switch from being extremely depressed to calm and happy. So now that we're aware of what depression is, why don't we move on to why depression is? Despite what so many people seem to think, and believe me, I talked to several of various ages, depression is not a choice. I cannot personally stress enough how incredibly vital this is, so I will say it one more time. Depression is not a choice. This fact may seem so false or irrelevant to the average man or woman, but to a veteran, courage, or potential sufferer, this could be life-saving information. Knowing that this all-consuming, terrible, heart-wrenching illness is not by their own twisted choice, but by genetic, biological, environmental, and sociological causes, can be the reason someone decides not to raise their knife, or to tie their rope, or to stand on the edge of a building. Knowing they're not to blame could be the difference between death and survival. Though it is true that external stimuli, like loneliness, stress, relationship issues, a lack of social support, and a myriad amount of other things can assist in leading to depressive feelings, please do not mistake them as causes of depressive feelings. Outer incentives only help bring up the illness that was always there, lying beneath the surface of the skin. It has been scientifically proven by NHS choices that depression is genetic, which means if there's a long line of depression in your family, especially on both sides, the odds of you obtaining the illness are high. Now, of course, that does not mean at all that you will have depression indefinitely, but the odds are much greater than that of someone with a depressive-free family. As well, according to the Depression and Bipolar Support Alliance, it's been shown that depression can be a symptom of other cognitive disorders, like anxiety and bipolar disorder, just like anxiety and bipolar disorder can be symptoms of depression. You cannot tell me that if you're anxious, you don't think about suicide or how awful your life can be because of your disorder. You cannot tell me if you are bipolar, the lows of your illness do not correspond almost exactly with the basis of depression. You cannot tell me that if you're depressed, you're not anxious about someone seeing your scars, and you don't put on a brave face and hide who you truly are. Why is there depression? Why is there anxiety or bipolar disorder? Why is there schizophrenia, Alzheimer's, dementia, or OCD? Because we are human. And unfortunately, some of us have had our human nature either amplified or muted against our personal will. But there is good news. Our disorders can be helped, never cured, for such a thing is beyond human power, but they can be helped. Anyone suffering from a psychological sickness can go to psychiatrists or psychologists for help with the mind or conscience. What people cannot see, they usually believe is beyond their power to heal, but these types of doctors have proven that wrong. For some, the right type of medication provided by a certified doctor can make all the difference. It has been proven that in anxious, depressed, and bipolar patients, that meditation works wonders because it calms, soothes, and relaxes the mind. And in these types of people, it's almost too high strung to think of such positive things. There's also spirituality, which really does work something. And of course, there is support. To go deeper into this last particular thought, allow me to paint a picture for you. Horses graze in herds, and people live in families. Our basic unit of togetherness is family. That is why support from friends, groups, and especially family can make all the difference, because think, when an injured horse is cut off from the rest of the herd, it will not survive because it doesn't have the support of the herd to keep it afloat. So now you know what depression is, and how to recognize the signs of the illness and potential suicidal thoughts. Why depression is, and how it is placed upon people against their will and can be linked to a myriad amount of other illnesses, and how it can be helped. And the first step to wholesome health is support. Depression. It's not such a big word now, is it? I'm now ready for any questions about the judge's opinion.
Right. So my question is, you mentioned the importance of support from family or friends and that kind of thing. For those people who are in a support role, what's the situation trying to get them to be a broader understanding?
The question was that I did mention support from friends, groups, and family in my presentation. And once someone has been diagnosed, what support roles are options to that?
Or yeah, what are the resources for people who are in a support role?
Oh, what are the resources for people for this support? Well, if you're in a support role, it can be challenging when you're in a supporting role in a depressive situation. It is very important to remain gentle and delicate to the depressive victim because they are fragile as it is. So if you approach them with delicacy and kindness, then they will be less likely to be thrown into an episode. So keeping that in mind, I believe that the resources you can use are personal, communal, and professional support with dealing with depressive victims. For personal support, be kind, send them a little text message, and that little bit of support from you and their kindness and positivity from yourself can help them keep depressive outbursts at bay. For communal help, almost every community has an FCSS building, and that helps anyone, with or without money, with or without a serious disorder. They help everyone get the help they need. And the FCSS leads to the professional help, which will get them where they need to go. So I believe that personal, communal, and professional support are the resources that anyone